Hello, everyone. All right, this is the last part of my three-part series for men. My name is Patrice D'Evans. I'm a certified matchmaker and relationship coach, and you need a relationship coach to help you with relationship skills so that you can attract the right woman. So this is the third part. I'm going to make sure that I put these videos together so you can see my premise, but I am looking for women to work with men who are traditional and they're successful in their business and they're young urban professionals. So you're like mid 20, you're like 25 to 32, 35, and you have started your career, you're really excited, you've started your life, and now you need to have someone with you. You want to have a woman with you, you want marriage, and you want to start your family. And the problem is that a lot of times families are not preparing men for this time. They're not really working with them since they were younger to actually keep them focused on what that looks like to be um, a man that can lead their family. So basically, if you're a traditional man, you believe that the men are the lead of the household, but you believe it in a way where you are supporting the woman, you are protecting your family, you're there to be the provider, and if she wants to work, fine, you help her do what God has told her to do, whether it be working or not working, but she's able to do the basic thing that is in her heart to do as a mother and as a wife and as a helpmate. It's just what God intended us to be, right? But it all depends on how you work that whole plan, but at least you don't go out of the framework of it, if that makes sense. So in my household, I am the leader in the sense that I am a leader. I lead ministries. I lead my business. I am the face of our businesses and things like that. I speak, I show up, but he is the leader of our household. He's the breadwinner. He's the one that takes care of the tent maker. He takes care of the basic, the bills and all the things that go on in the house, right? So that is in our household. He'll make the final decision. I will be talking to him, and of course, the women have a big say in what he says, and we can really sway the man from the beginning of time. We've been able to do that, even from the Garden of Eden, if you believe that. But ultimately, that decision we've got to respect that the man should make it, because if you believe in that structure, if you believe in God, he's responsible for whatever ends up happening. If he lets me take over, he's still responsible, because in God's eyes, he's responsible. So with that framework in mind, whether you are a believer in the Christian faith, Hindu, or Muslim, or whatever your faith is, it doesn't matter. If you are a traditional person and you want to begin your process in meeting the right woman, there are some things you have to have in place. So this is what we've been talking about. But in this video, I want to talk more about feminine energy. This is something a lot of, I would say, young people are talking about, feminine and masculine energy. Kind of a controversial thing, right? So no, I don't think that men should be feminine. And I think it's, for me personally, I've always been really attracted to very masculine men, but you got to be very careful with that. I've learned my lesson. So there's something that I learned about femininity and masculinity and how you balance that. I believe, and I want to get right into that, is that we lead with being feminine if we're a woman. The way God made us to be is to be a woman. That's where the feminine energy comes from, being a woman. So if it comes from being a woman, you should be leading with your feminine energy in terms of what we desire deep in our hearts. And if we're real about what we desire and not what social media tells us to desire, we do desire to be the mother. We do desire to be at home. We do desire to keep our home beautiful and all that stuff. And we also desire doing leadership things outside of the home too. But we don't want that to take away from that stuff that we have at home. We don't want to do so much outside that it takes away deep in our hearts from being the mother and being the wife and being that. That's deep in, it was put in our heart by God to be that way. How we do it, some women are more nurturing than others. Some women want it more than others, but it is in there. I mean, if that wasn't the case, there wouldn't be so many women that are trying so hard to have a baby and they're trying so hard to get married. And it's really in our hearts. It's not cool for some of the younger generation to admit it, but it is in our hearts to be that way. And for the man, it's really in his heart to feel like the hero, to feel like he's protecting her, to feel like he's strong and like they can rely on him, right? It's the way we go about both of those things that really messes it up for the relationships. What that means, and that's how you've been raised to define being a man and a woman. That's the problem. And this is what we're talking about today. So I believe that men and women shouldn't only be one of the two. I believe that you should lead with your feminine or your masculine if you're a man or woman. So let's just talk about the men. You need to lead with your masculinity. The things that men want to do, they hunt, they win, they like to chase, they like to conquer, they like to get. And I think that's beautiful. They want to go out and work. So they want to go out and do. And if you believe in what some biblical truths, which is that you actually have to sweat by your brow. You have to work. The woman's going to have pain in childbirth and the man's working. I mean, till this day, that's still going on. So obviously there's some truth to that, right? So if you don't believe that, just know that basically that's still an issue till this day, that men are still out there working and women are still having pain in childbirth. So that has been a truth, an absolute truth. So that being said, men have a way about them. They hunt, they have to be strong, they go into war, and that's just their nature. Can a woman do that? Sure, there you'll find women that can do that. I don't think we were made to be doing that. And that's why we see a problem when we try to do what men are doing at the level that they do it, like as though we are men. So when a woman is tipping her femininity over and becoming too masculine, that is an imbalance, and there is something not good is going to come out of that. You're probably going to have a hard time getting love and doing the things that you really want in your heart, because you've kind of been outside of your lane and in the man's lane, and you haven't been nurturing your lane, which is the feminine lane. Okay, so the men, we don't want the man to stay out of his lane of being the man, but what I'm proposing is that you develop some of that feminine energy that you already have, because we have it in us, and don't be afraid to develop it. Some of that journaling, thinking internally, being introspective, thinking before you speak, talking to someone to just work things out. It doesn't always have to be a deal, and there's got an output and result in every conversation you have, or about the news, or about something that's about sports, or something that's not grounded. What I've experienced with men in my life, because I've spoken to lots of men, and I know a lot of men have wooed me and spoken to me and shared a lot with me. And what I've noticed is that even the best men that I've spoken to, they get caught up when they're afraid of dealing with feelings. They go straight into talking about the news or talking about something that's generic. They have a hard time staying on the specific thing that's right in front of them, or the person that's right in front of them, or the issue, and just sticking with it. They really get fluttered and upset very easily when they have to work through a process. So if you can't work through processes, how are you going to be in a marriage? You've got to start strengthening that muscle that women have, where we go through pain and childbirth, we go through pains, we go through menstrual cycles, and we have to work through it. And that's kind of a feminine strength. So if you have that feminine strength in you, where you can handle problems, you can handle pain, you can go through something, and you can actually work through the emotions of what it means to go through that, like women do. Talk to somebody, talk the pain out. Don't let that build up where you blow up and you look like a monster. You're already stronger. You're already strong. You got this beard or whatever. And then if you have anger with that strength, you look like a monster to women. You don't even have to be a monster. When I grew up with women my whole life. And if I could just be honest about how I do feel for men, I really have a heart for what you go through, because I feel like even as a young boy, that people are not thinking about your feelings and about the fact that you have feelings too. You're not just this hard guy that's whatever. When I started to soften my heart about men with my husband, that my late husband, my first husband, who passed away, and my son. When my son started going to school, I started thinking, wow, I don't want people to look at my boy, and because he made a mistake, he's a bad guy. Or like if he likes a girl and he hugs her, I'm afraid that they're going to think that he is being abusive, or he's being, sexually whatever, trying to. And I thought I had to think harder about what my son did versus what my daughter did, because they could make the same mistake, but if a guy makes that mistake, it looks like he's a bad kid. I got to be careful, because women, when you're not around boys and you don't know that they were a boy at once and they were somebody's son, every guy that you treat a certain way, they have a mother that loves that boy. We love our sons, and don't be so hard on them. And I have to say that myself, because I've been hard on men over the years. So I've softened up, and I've started to realize that they have feelings too. And sometimes they're just making mistakes. I have to catch myself even with my husband. If you read my book, I've experienced narcissistic abuse. I've experienced verbal and emotional abuse, which is very hard, because I like that masculine and energy. But I learned, women, take this note, is that you don't want a guy that is all hard and they have nothing soft about them, because they will possibly be abusive. because they don't know those emotions. They can't gauge those emotions. They just go from happy to angry. They just go straight to angry. Even if they're sad, they go to angry. And it's something that narcissistic men have. And once they pass a certain age, like 30, they don't change. Narcissists don't change. So what we want to do is we want to encourage the men that aren't and help them go through emotions. Don't shut them down when they're crying or if they're feeling. And I try to do that with my son. I try to tell him, no, feel. Now, even with me being that way, he's still been this strong, like soldier always. He's very strong and he wants to be strong for me. And I have to ask my daughter, I'm like, is he okay? And but he's always put together. But I know that when he does speak, I'm all ears because I'm like, this is huge. My son is talking to me. He's opening up. So it's very rare that he needs to talk about something. But when he does, I want him to talk. I want him to cry. I want him to pray because I want to encourage that men, and especially the men in my family, that they are heard and they have allowing that feminine side of them to come out. Because women, we got to figure out, what do you want? Do you want the, like I thought I wanted that strong brute guy. What comes with that is he's going to get bark. He's going to bark at you. And he's not going to know how to get into a sensitive side because he has not been encouraged to over the years. So you when you get that guy that's more sensitive and he can talk to you, it's got to land somewhere. I know I'm talking to the guys, but girls, women, you got to land somewhere. He's not perfect. You're not perfect. So guys, if you at least do that, some woman is going to take everything else about you. That even if it's quirky, even if it's not put together, those things we could deal with, cosmetics and all stuff. But if you at least in the internal can have a warm conversation, what I loved about my husband when I met him is that he was acting like a best friend. I mean, there were some things I wanted to tell him. I just wanted to tell him it's something. And he's like, he stopped and he sat down. We were in Panera Bread, and he was like, "What is it? What's going on?" And he wanted to hear what was on my heart. He became my best friend first, and I trusted him. And that's a feminine side. He was not talking about sports. He wasn't stuck with talking about, what's going on in the news or bitter, angry with the world, that grumpy guy or whatever. He had a side that could listen. And I knew, my mom gave me a tip. Guys that are close to their moms, not mama's boys, but meaning they can't detach from their moms, but they're able to hear their mom's feelings, and they have a sister, and they are able that when I say when the last video I talked about journaling and speaking to someone, but maybe speak to a mom or an auntie or somebody, and I could be your auntie. I could be that mother figure for you. In my relationship coaching, that's kind of what I'm doing. Basically, is I'm giving you that feminine ear that with that sound and that's telling you the truth about what it should be, not that finicky female thing that I work with women about, where they don't really seem to know what they want. But the ones that I attract that do know what they want, they just haven't found it. I want to be able to be that mirror for you, so that I can tell you when you're going off, when you're in you're bumping, like if you're bowling and you got out of the railing, the guardrails. I can be your guardrail and say, no, you think you're saying that, but in your heart, you want to say that, but when you say it with those words, you're being rude. And it makes me feel like you're being rude to me. And I don't ever want to talk to you again. And I won't talk to you again because I have choices. So men, you're going to only have one shot at this. If you don't show some level of feminine energy, and that feminine energy, I'm going to make it clear, there's a strength, there's a feminine energy that's strong. And that what that is that we're able to handle problems. We're able to go through processes and actually stay calm and able to like think through it without blowing up or without falling apart. It's very immature. And guess what? Narcissists are. They're babies. They're immature boys, women and men. They never grew up from the stage of being brats about not getting what they wanted. They don't know how to work through problems. This is the biggest thing I had to do with my kids. I'm like, you've got to be able to handle a problem. If I see a temper tantrum, that's a problem for me. You can have that at maybe 4. You might be able to have that at 6, because I was a teacher also. I don't play when it comes down to developmental stages. But once you start becoming old enough, no, you don't get to have a temper tantrum. No, you're going to work through that. You're going to talk through that. You're going to journal through that. You're too old for that. And that starts with like elementary school for me. I was a high school teacher. They definitely better not bring that in my classroom in the teens. So you know good and well that at this age, if I'm talking to 25-year-olds to 30, 35-year-olds, I'm not having that. And that's what the women aren't having. These women, millennial women, they're growing up and they're not having it. And these Gen Z women, they're already grown up. I mean, they're already in their 20s. They're not having it. They would rather go with a guy that's 15 years older than them to deal with a young kid that's on video games, that can't speak, can't handle a problem. I mean, I've dealt with men that are in their 50s that can't handle a problem. They never grew up. So men have been allowed to not grow up. And you know what? If you don't want to grow up because you've created a world where you can still be an adult that pays bills, but still plays video games all day, doesn't have a girlfriend, and doesn't do anything, but you're sweet, but you really don't want to grow up enough to develop a relationship with somebody, I'm the wrong person to talk to. You need to stop now and go on another channel, go on dates that don't go anywhere. This is not about dating. I'm not just a dating coach. No, I'm about traditional young men that want to really do this. But you want to show up like a man. These women are not playing. They do not want a boy. They do not want to raise you. So, I'm here to help get you to that place where you don't have to be raised by her. Just because you make the money, six figures or whatever you make, does not mean that you are mature. That don't mean anything. And she's not having it. She has choices. So you need to have that masculine energy, but you need to have that feminine energy in there, that sensitive energy, that strength. When I say feminine energy, do I seem wishy-washy? Why are we saying feminine energy is soft and wishy-washy? Do I look feminine to you? Usually I have longer nails and I'm probably going to get them soon, but I have a strength. There's a strength to feminine energy. There's a strength and a softness to feminine energy, and there's a strength and a softness to men. So men need to come in with the strength of the feminine energy and the softness and the wherewithal and the ability to not only what we did with the first parts of this series is you're looking into yourself so you can lead, and you're looking into yourself so that you can know yourself. But guess what else you're looking into yourself for? So that you can be empathetic to her. If you're not introspective and you're not even caring about that and you don't care about introspective things, then you won't be introspective for her. And I'm not going to teach you a trick to pretend that you're introspective. I'm going to teach you already have it in you to allow that feminine energy out in the appropriate levels when it's time to turn off the work guy and turn on that sensitive side when she needs to talk. Otherwise, even if you get the woman, she ain't going to talk to you because she can't talk to you because you don't know how to talk. She's going to go to her female friends or a guy that is feminine or is tapped in. You don't want that. You want to be that guy for her. You don't want her to talk to her deepest, darkest secrets to anyone other than you. So you're going to have to learn how to get your own deepest, darkest secrets out on journaling and talking yourself so that you can match what's in you. I'm learning the biggest thing is that whatever's in you is what you're going to match so that you are available emotionally for this woman. Okay? So, I think that the name of this should be, how can you be emotionally available for women? And I might even change it to that. And this is how you can be by tapping into your feminine energy when it's appropriate, when it's time to be gentle, and when it's time to listen and time to really listen to the conversation, listen to the person's feelings, and be empathetic with your response. And be empathetic that's how relationships are built. There's empathy in the middle of any relationship. And I believe there's God at the center of any relationship because only God can help you find in this big world, find the right person. You're going to do everything you can to be in position so that you can be blessed to attract the right woman. But if you don't if you're way over here, way off, you're not even in position. You want to at least get in position to be able to attract her. And then when you put your picture up, and then when you put your things, it comes through in the way that you write, in the way that you talk, because you've leveled up who you really are inside. You're not doing tricks and tips and all that stuff. You're developing who you really are. You're letting these things come out, and you're everywhere you go. That's who you are, and people will start to want to introduce you to people because they see these things that you are. You're not just doing this only on the app. You're doing it throughout your life, and then people will want to. It's going to attract everyone in your life. And somebody's going to say, oh my goodness, there's this guy at my job. He's just so amazing. I want to hook him up with you. I mean, you're just going to be an eligible bachelor. You're going to stand, by the way, y'all, I want my men to be this light in the darkness. So just think about your odds here. If most men are not getting this right and won't do this, if you're that one guy that will, you're going to get all the girls. Let me help you. So this is the thing. So I have a course that I can accelerate this much quicker so that you can find that woman. Click on my Calendly link in the description and let's hop on a call. This is not therapy and this is not for someone who's not working. You have got to be a successful man, young man who has it together and you're ready for marriage. You're actually in a position where you can. I wouldn't tell my son to do this if he wasn't ready. So I'm not going to tell anyone who's not financially ready to hire a matchmaker and a coach to accelerate finding the right woman for marriage. You got to be ready for marriage. Not only you have to be ready for me as an investment, but you also have to be, because I'm going to accelerate this with you. Oh, you're going to be getting married. So you're going to have to be ready financially for all of this. So don't come until you're ready. But if you think you're ready and you're like, I want to accelerate this, I'm ready to do this, and I'm traditional and I want to do this the right way, and I want all the things that God has for you, you just need to position yourself better. Click on my calendar link. Let's get started and see if you're a good fit for what I have to offer. Okay. All right. So I hope this blessed you. I hope this series has blessed you. It's been so much fun sharing with you. I do want to hear your comments because I do want to know what more do you want me to talk to you about that I can bring here to help you until you're ready to work with me. All right. Well, God bless you. Definitely click on my Calendly link, reach out to me, and I'm here for you. And if you're a woman, I do have a workshop for you to help you level up and be ready for my clients, my men. All right. Well, God bless you. Bye.